Payman.
Thank you, Acting Deputy President. Well, days after reheating a stunt from 2017, the spirit of Senator Hanson now reheats a bill from 2018. With all the talk about One Nation poaching Barnaby Joyce, I'd be keeping an eye on perhaps the Greens, because the amount of recycling that's been happening in One Nation these days is genuinely impressive. This bill has already been voted down twice, once in 2019 and once last year, and yet here we are, in the middle of a cost of living crisis, a housing crisis, a climate crisis. This is the grand solution being put forward by One Nation, a non-binding plebiscite. Because nothing says serious policy making like asking Australians to vote on a question that won't actually change a single law. Now, let me be absolutely clear here. Senator Hanson, through you, Chair, Senator Hanson has every right to move whatever bill she believes are, part of the national interest. That's one of the beautiful things about this country. That's one of the most beautiful things about our democracy. Every senator in this place has a right to put a bill forward that they think they're interested in or their constituents are interested in. But just as immigrants must uphold Australian values like respect, equality and freedom of expression, the very values that explicitly reject racial discrimination or religious intolerance, every member of this chamber should also uphold them. The Australian Values Statement is unequivocal, and it says, and I quote, "People in Australia are free to follow any religion they choose. Religious intolerance is not acceptable in Australian society." Now, every immigrant signs this, including me, including Senator Roberts, including Senator Babet. It's unfortunate that the bill before us today suggests that perhaps Senator Hanson herself would fail this values test, because this bill is not about migration levels. It's not about planning or infrastructure or economics. It's about fear. It's about division. It's about distracting struggling Australians who are having a hard time putting food on the table, paying their next bills, ensuring that their kids have a best shot in their life, to ensure that there's a roof over their heads, who have these real reasons of life becoming harder and harder. But in fact, this whole bill is distracting everyone from the core issues that need to be dealt with here. So let's deal with the myths, calmly, factually, and with evidence, not with slogans, not with fear-mongering. Myth 1, population growth is out of control. Now, senior economist, not me, not Senator Roberts, not anyone else here, a senior economist from the Australia Institute, Matt Grudnoff, has laid out the facts very clearly. During COVID, population growth fell to historic lows for about 18 months. The population even went backwards as international students and temporary workers left. When borders reopened, the so-called surge was simply people returning home. And since 2024, population growth has fallen back to pre-COVID levels. But here's the key point. If population had grown at normal pre-COVID rates, Australia today would have way more people, not fewer. The bounce back hasn't even caught up to where we could have been or where we would have been if COVID never happened. So the idea that we're facing some unprecedented population explosion simply isn't true. Myth number 2, migration caused the housing crisis. Now, let's test that claim using the best natural experiment that we've ever had, the COVID border closure. During COVID, population growth collapsed, yet house prices skyrocketed. Why would that be? Why would that be the case? Because the Reserve Bank slashed interest rates and speculative investors flooded the market. Now, as Matt Grudnoff says, if migration drove housing prices, 2020 should have been the cheapest time to buy in 20 years. Instead, prices surged. And here is the data government after government refused to acknowledge. Over the past 10 years, population grew 16%, but the number of dwellings grew 19%. We're building homes faster than population is growing. That's what the numbers are saying. It's not me, it's not Senator Roberts, it's no one else here. It's the numbers, it's the facts. And over the longer 20-year period, capturing the entire modern housing crisis, population grew 34% and dwellings grew by 39%. Now, the housing crisis exists despite immigration, not because of it. It exists because governments protected investors' loopholes like negative gearing and capital gains tax discounts, ignored the supply issue and all the planning and infrastructure that goes into it, and handed housing over to the property market. Now, immigrants, again, didn't create this crisis. Politicians did, or rather, bad policies did. Now, myth 3, immigrants don't share Australian values. Immigrants are the only group in this country required to prove their loyalty through tests, paperwork, declarations, and character assessments. They sign up to values many politicians don't model themselves. And what value is more Australian than hardworking and working super hard, contributing to society, and giving our kids a better future? Myth number 4, immigrants are taking jobs or straining services. Straining services. I mean, come on, they run the services. If we stopped migration tomorrow, hospitals would collapse. Construction would grind to a halt. Servos would shut. Mines would close. And the aged care would fall over completely. There will be nobody to care for your granny when she soiled herself. Immigration is not breaking the system, it is holding it together. Myth number 5, migrants are a security threat. Now, this fear is being imported directly from Mar-a-Lago. Senator Hanson, through you, Chair, has returned from a Halloween party with Gina Rinehart and her new best buddy, Donald Trump, whose administration is now bizarrely ordering the US Embassy in Canberra to collect migrant crime data to fuel a global culture war that we're seeing running rampant around the world. And astonishingly, One Nation is happy to bring Trump's playbook into this chamber and do his bidding for him. If you ever want to know who a politician is truly working for, look at who they spend most of their time with. While working Australians were wondering how to pay their next bill, Senator Hanson was busy chasing selfies with foreign billionaires. Now, has Senator Hanson ever introduced a bill to crack down on supermarket price gouging or cost of living pressures? Or introduced a bill to tackle negative gearing or capital gains tax discount? Or a bill to force the wealthy, her billionaire friends, to pay their fair share? But she's always ready to target migrants, Muslims and multicultural communities.
Senator Payman, sorry, if you could just resume your seat. Senator Bell, you have a point of order?
A point of order. I just asked that Senator Payman address her comments to the chair when she's speaking about Senator Hanson.
Senator Bell, I see no point of order. The senator has referred through the chair of a number of occasions. Resume your seat. Thanks, Senator Bell. Senator Payman, continue.
Thank you, Acting Deputy President. I think I struck a nerve there. Anyway, so back to the bill. This bill is not designed to fix problems. As I've outlined through those facts very calmly and factually, it is designed to distract Australians from addressing it to those who are actually causing this problem and who's responsible. Because the moment Australians direct their anger upwards to the billionaires and all the vested interests who actually created this mess, politicians who serve those billionaires would have a serious problem. Now, working people, whether they look like me or they wear a high-vis or a hard hat or a business shirt, have a lot more in common with each other than the billionaires who bankroll these fear campaigns. Immigrants didn't privatise public assets. They didn't sell off social housing. They didn't freeze wages. And blaming migrants won't lower your rent or put food on your table or a roof over your head. Now, decent Australians deserve better than fear campaigns like this, dressed up as policy, somehow miraculously changing systemic problems without actual reforms that we need to tackle. This bill is divisive, it's very misleading, and it's entirely disconnected from economic reality. And once again, it should be rejected. So I implore all my Senate colleagues to think very carefully, to look at what modern-day Australia looks like, to reflect on who you're representing in your constituencies, and reject this bill as it should be. Thank you.